Hi everyone and welcome again to Creative Cakes by Sharon. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to create this Princess Belle cake from Beauty and the Beast. This has been a hugely popular request with so many of you saying just how much you love Princess Belle. Belle is part of my Disney Princess Cakes playlist, so be sure to check out all the other princesses I've made by clicking the link you see on screen now. Guys, if you're new to my channel, welcome and thanks for tuning in. Be sure to become a subscriber so you too can stay up to date with all my creative cakes and recipes. So let's get started. I have here my template of Belle and you can get a copy of this in the description box below. It prints across 2 pages, so all you have to do is cut them out and stick them together. I have a 10-inch square cake, a white cake board, my fondant roller, a large serrated knife, a small knife, my offset spatula, a palette knife, a pair of scissors. I've got a little bit of water and a paintbrush. I'm also using some of my dark chocolate ganache and my buttercream frosting, and there's links to both of these recipes in the description box below as well. I'm using some petal dust today. I've got some cream, pink, gold and peach, and this is just to highlight Belle's face towards the end. I'm also using some nice fluffy brushes, a black edible marker, my X-Acto blade, and I've got some dark brown fondant, some skin toned fondant, some pink, a little bit of yellow, black, and a tiny bit of green, white and red fondant. So to start with, I need to divide my cake in 2 and fill the centre with my pink buttercream frosting and pop the top back on. Now, with my template positioned on top of the cake, I'm going to run my knife all the way around the edge of the template, cutting out the shape for Princess Belle. Now I'm going to create a few layers in the cake so that it's not just flat on the top surface. So what I need to do is cut the template into a few different sections. Guys, while you're watching this, does any scene come to mind? The one for me is of course the beautiful dance in the great big ballroom. The first layers to cut are the sides of her hair, so I'm going to insert my knife about 2 centimeters deep and cut along the edges of her neck. Then, coming in from the side of the cake, I'm going to glide my knife until it meets the vertical cut and lift off the excess piece of cake. If I turn the cake around, you can get a better view of the depth of the first layer, and for her neck I want a slightly higher layer, so again I need to glide the knife through the cake and lift up the top piece. For Belle's face, I'm going to cut around the top edge of her hairline and then create a series of diagonal cuts across her face, and then use my palette knife to carefully lift off just the very top surface of the cake. You can already see that the cake has some graduations or steps, if you like, creating all the layers. So now all the carving has been done and I'm left with 1, 2, 3 and 4 layers in my cake. At this stage, I need to cover the entire cake with my dark chocolate ganache, making sure to catch any crumbs and working my way into all the grooves and crevices that I've cut. Once this is done, I need to pop it in the fridge to set for about 15 minutes. Once the cake comes out of the fridge, the ganache is nice and firm to the touch, and I'm just going to use some boiling water to heat up my spatula, wipe off any excess moisture, and glide it over the surface of the cake to smooth out the ganache. Now before I do anything further, I'm going to carefully transfer my cake onto my cake board. As you can see here, I've rolled out some of the skin toned fondant, and this is about 2 to 3 mils thick, and I'm going to cut around the template for Belle's face, making sure I have enough clearance at the top and sides of the template so that the fondant reaches down the sides of the layers as well as the side of her cake. Carefully placing the fondant onto the cake, I'm going to ease it around the edges, push it into the corners, and even lift it up gradually to make sure it fits nicely into the grooves. Then I can trim off any of the excess fondant, and using a small ball of the same skin toned fondant, I can smooth out any of the imperfections. Using a little ball of the skin toned fondant, I'm going to shape Princess Belle's nose using my template as a guide to get the correct shape, and then using the template again to hold over the cake and position the nose in the correct spot. Using the back of my paintbrush, I'm just going to indent the fondant very gently to create 2 nostrils. Here again I've got the skin toned fondant rolled out, and this is of course for Princess Belle's neck. Now all that's left of the cake to cover is of course her hair, so I've got my brown fondant rolled out, and again I need to make sure that I leave enough space when I cut the fondant so that it covers right around the sides of the cake. Once I've covered all the bits of the cake, I'm going to use the back of a paintbrush to create the wavy look of her hair. As you can see in the template, Princess Belle has a little piece of hair that sits very softly over the top of her shoulder, so using a nice thick piece of the brown fondant, I'm pressing it down at one end and tapering it at the other to sit nicely over the top of her shoulder and blend in with the hair that sits at the back of her shoulder. Here I'm adding a little ear for Princess Belle as well as a nice round earring. Using the yellow fondant now, I'm going to roll out some very thin snakes and press it in along the grooves that I created with the paintbrush, just scattering them around her hair to give the effect of highlights in her hair. Now I'm going to work on Princess Belle's eyes, and as you can see I've cut the eyes out of the template, and now I'm going to cut out around the templates on some white fondant for the whites of her eyes, and then cut the template down a little bit further so I've only got the green coloured section, which I'll then cut out. Use a little bit of water to adhere the green section to the whites of the eyes, and make the pupils by flattening out 2 little balls of black fondant, followed by 2 tiny little specks of white fondant for the reflections in her eyes. Using the template as a guide, I'm going to position the eyes onto the cake. I've made Princess Belle's eyelashes by cutting out the eyelashes from the template, placing it on some black fondant and cutting around it, and then using the X-Acto blade, I've just made some cuts to create each individual eyelash. Then using a little bit of water, I've attached it to the top of the eyelid on the cake. To outline Belle's eyes, I've used the black edible marker going around the white and green sections of her eyes. And I'm using the template to cut out some red fondant for Belle's lips, making sure to remove a little bit in the middle so that I can place a little piece of white fondant behind to show through for the teeth. The eyebrows are fairly easy to create by just rolling out some thin pieces of brown fondant, tapered at one end and adhering them to the cake. Princess Belle has a garland of roses in her hair, but don't let this put you off because I'm going to show you an extremely easy way to create a very simple rose. So to start off, I've rolled out some pink fondant and cut it into strips. Then using my fingers I need to press down or flatten the bottom side of each strip and add a little water along the top edge of each strip. Now starting at one end, I'm just going to carefully roll the fondant up into a spiral. When I get to the end, I'm going to fold back the fondant. Then using the back of my paintbrush, I'm going to carefully stretch out the fondant to create a bit of movement in each of the roses. After I've made all of my roses, I've placed them on top of the cake to make sure that I have enough, and then I'm going to adhere them with a little bit of water. And finally it's time to use my petal dust to add a little more colour and warmth as well as some shadows to the cake. I used the peach and cream colour along the jawline and the neck, the pink for some blush to her cheeks as well as some eyeshadow, and I used the gold to give a nice shine to her earrings. And here she is, my Princess Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give it a like and share it with someone else who loves Princess Belle just as much as you do. Just a reminder that if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you click the subscribe button so you can see all my creative cakes and recipes as I release them. Guys, I love to hear from you and get your feedback and your comments, so don't forget to drop me a line in the comment section below, or you can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram and Twitter. I hope you tune in next time, and as always, thanks for watching.